In the calm after eternity, the moon watched the earth with quiet wonder. He no longer sought reflection, for he had seen that every heart carried its own light. The gods no longer ruled from distant thrones. They lived within the rhythm of the world, in wind that hummed through cedar trees, in water that remembered the shape of the sky, in dreams that crossed between dawn and night. Tsukuyomi descended once more, not as a god, but as a traveler of his own creation. He walked the shores of the mortal world, his steps leaving ripples that shimmered like forgotten prayers. He found a child gazing at the sea. The child held a shard of glass, one of the mirror's lost pieces, and in it, Tsukuyomi saw not the heavens, but the child's smile. "Do you know what this is?" he asked. The child nodded. "A piece of the moon." Tsukuyomi smiled softly. "No," he said, "it's a piece of you." The shard gleamed, and for a moment the world felt whole again. Amaterasu's warmth touched the horizon, her light meeting his shadow in perfect harmony. And for the first time since the dawn of creation, sun and moon shared the same reflection, not in the mirror of gods, but in the hearts of all who remembered them. The tides began to move again, the stars sang their quiet songs, and the moon rose whole once more, not because it was perfect, but because it was finally at peace. Thank you for listening to Sleep with Myth. Welcome to Sleep with Myth. Close your eyes and let the world fade away. Tonight we drift beyond time, where gods dream and stories remember their light. Before there was reflection, there was only light, and from that light, the moon was born. A quiet twin to the sun, gentle yet proud, a mirror meant to hold the face of heaven itself. Tsukuyomi was his name, the silent watcher of night, the one who bathed the world in silver and sleep. But there came a time when even the moon began to question its purpose. He gazed upon the earth and saw endless hunger, endless war. Each reflection he cast down returned not beauty, but sorrow. The rivers ran red beneath his glow. Temples rose and fell, and prayers turned hollow. The moon, once pure, began to dim. He turned his face from the earth and whispered, "Why must I only mirror light that wounds?" And so, for the first time, the moon refused reflection. The oceans lost their rhythm, the tides fell still, and night became an endless pause. In that silence the gods of heaven stirred, for without the moon's reflection, the balance of all things began to fade. Amaterasu, radiant goddess of the sun, rose from her golden hall and looked upon the darkened sky. Her brother's light, her other half, was gone, and in her heart a new fear was born, that even divinity could forget how to shine. Amaterasu searched for her brother across the silver fields of the heavens. But where once his calm light had danced, now only shadow remained. The stars whispered his name, their voices trembling like ripples on water. Yet no answer came, only silence, heavy and endless as the void itself. "Tsukuyomi," she called, her voice piercing the still air. "Why do you turn from me? Have I not shared with you the warmth of my light?" But the moon did not answer. He hid behind the veil of eternity, ashamed of what he had seen reflected in the world below. The sun's tears fell as golden rain upon the earth. The rivers shimmered, the trees drank deeply, and for a moment, life remembered how to bloom. But Amaterasu's sorrow did not fade. For every petal that opened beneath her light was another reminder of the brother who had vanished from her sky. She descended to the edge of night, where day met the dream of stars. There the two worlds touched, her fire against his silence. "Without you," she whispered, "the light is too sharp. It burns those it means to guide." And from within the darkness, a single echo answered, soft and sorrowful, "Without you, I have forgotten how to glow." The heavens wept, and in that divine sorrow, the first eclipse was born, not of anger, but of longing. In the wake of the first eclipse, the heavens trembled. Light and shadow met, merging into an endless dusk, a world between waking and dream. Tsukuyomi drifted through that twilight, his silver form fractured by regret. He carried no weapon, no power, only the weight of his reflection. Once the gods had forged a mirror of crystal light, a sacred vessel meant to unite sun and moon, for through its surface flowed the balance of creation. But now, when Tsukuyomi looked into it, he saw only himself, endless, hollow, lost. He struck the mirror, and with that single act, the heavens cried out. Fragments of divinity scattered across eternity, falling like silent meteors through the void. Each shard carried a dream, a glimmer of what once was harmony. Amaterasu watched in grief as her brother's mirror shattered. Her tears turned to fire, and her fire to dawn, burning yet beautiful. "Why, brother?" she whispered. "Why destroy what bound us?" Tsukuyomi turned his face away, his voice barely more than a sigh. "Because reflection is pain, and I would rather vanish than wound the world again." From that moment, the moon hid behind clouds, and the stars learned to whisper for him. The shattered pieces of the divine mirror drifted across heaven and earth, becoming dreams, memories, and the hidden hearts of mortals. And though the gods no longer spoke, each fragment remembered their light. 1,000 years passed, and the sky learned silence. The moon no longer gleamed in full. It drifted in fragments, pale and sorrowful, its face veiled by drifting clouds, the remnants of a god's regret. On earth, mortals no longer prayed to Tsukuyomi or Amaterasu. They prayed to the sky itself, to the rhythm of the tides, to the wind that sang of memory. Yet sometimes, in the deepest night, a child would look up at the broken light of the moon and feel something stir, not fear, but recognition. For within their dreams, the shards of the divine mirror still lived. And when the moonlight touched their eyes, they saw not gods, but echoes of their own souls. A boy once whispered to the sea, "Why do you follow the moon if it no longer shines?" The waves answered softly, "Because even broken light can still move us." The gods heard that whisper, distant, faint, but pure. Amaterasu wept once more, though her tears were not sorrow this time. They fell as dawn across the horizon, gentle as forgiveness. And far beyond the clouds, Tsukuyomi stirred. In his dream he saw the earth, alive, glowing, singing. The mortals no longer needed him to shine. They had learned to find light within themselves. For the first time in eons the moon smiled, not as a reflection, but as remembrance. The world no longer sought perfection, only peace. The night had grown deep and quiet. The stars pulsed like slow, patient hearts. each one a memory of something once divine. Amaterasu's warmth now rose and fell like breath, and Tsukuyomi's silver light drifted in fragments across the world. Where they met, dawn shimmered softly, not golden, but pale and peaceful. It was said that in those hours, mortals could hear the whispers of the gods again, not as thunder but as thought. A woman tending a lantern by the sea looked up one night and saw her own reflection in the waves, but behind her eyes, she glimpsed something greater, a memory older than time, a voice saying, "You are not the mirror, you are the light itself." And for the first time humanity understood. The gods had not vanished. They had become the quiet pulse inside every living thing. When a child laughed, when a poet dreamed, when lovers met beneath the dim moonlight, the divine still stirred. Amaterasu watched from her golden hall, and she smiled at the sight of a world no longer begging for light, but creating it, and Tsukuyomi, far above, felt his reflection return, not from the mirror, but from the hearts of mortals who remembered how to shine. The sky brightened, the sea sang again, and the moon whispered to the earth, "I have seen my reflection, and it was never mine to begin with.